Hi everyone, this is Sagun Giri and Nicole Wang.
Hi everyone.
So this week our assignment was to read two chapters and two articles and prepare a presentation where we summarize the main findings of those readings and also present some recommendations on how to develop expert level of performance in informal learning spaces and formal learning spaces.
So the first article is about 10,000 hour rule. So what does that mean? The author, Gladwell, mentions about it takes 10,000 hours of practice to make you an expert of anything. So he gave us examples in music, in games, in sports, and he also talked about Bill Gates and the Beatles. Another article is about the expert and the novice on learning. So what are the differences? Well, so experts are more likely to notice and features and patterns of information than novices. They have deeper understanding of their subject matter. Their knowledge is not isolated but reflects and context of applicability. In addition, they are more able to retrieve important knowledge very easily. They know the subject matter very well. However, they might not be able to teach others. In the end, they have a variety of approaches to tackle the problem.
So McNamar's article on deliberate practices, what this talked about was they conducted a meta-analysis focusing on studies on deliberate practice. They looked at studies of deliberate practice on all major domains, including music, games, sports, and education. They also looked at studies that explored the relationship between deliberate practice in a particular domain and the performance of individuals in that domain. What the major findings of this article was that deliberate practice explained 26% of the variance in performance for games, 21% for music, 18% for sports, 4% for education, and less than 1% for professions. So, based on this finding, what they concluded was that deliberate practice is not as important as argued in previous literature to explain expert level of performance. The article by Bransford on learning and transfer talked about, they argued that not everyone is born with an innate ability to function competently, and therein lies the importance of learning. They also emphasized transfer of learning between and among domains and also the variety of learning experiences that result in transfer. They suggested that over-contextualization of knowledge diminishes transfer. They also suggested that abstract representation of knowledge can help promote transfer. Transfer was viewed as an active and dynamic process whereby active and engaged learners equaled faster transfer. Also, students who are aware of their own learning and take part in their learning trajectory by actively engaging in the learning environment and monitor their progress and assess their pros and cons can also lead to successful transfer of knowledge. They also viewed learning as hierarchical, whereby new learning is based off of and built upon previous learning, and they suggested that successful transfer is also dependent on generalizing problems and learning objectives.
So here comes to another question: how to support development of expertise.
So we make different recommendations for formal learning environment and informal learning environment to develop expert level of performance. These recommendations and suggestions are pulled from the readings that we did for this week and also from our experiences in our lives and in also our professional arena. So the first recommendation that we make is the 10,000 hours of practice. We do understand this particular concept or this particular strategy has some flaws and has some criticisms. However, we think that that practice is a valuable tool to develop expert level of performance. Also, training students to develop pattern recognition system, learning to retrieve knowledge and transfer, learning to resolve problems in different approaches are also valuable. Similarly, making students aware of the implications of what they are learning in other contexts and domain, setting up transfer tasks and problems where students have to apply what they have learned in other domains, and providing consistent feedbacks are all valuable strategies to develop expert level of performance. In this realm, instructors can also help solve students' misrepresentation and misinterpretation, and they can start students with lower order tasks, test their competency and understanding in those lower order tasks, and then them up to higher order tasks.
So, in terms of informal learning environment, 10,000 hours of practice is also valuable, and also learn to retrieve information and transfer, learn to understand patterns, learn to resolve problems in different ways are also very important. They also need to learn to receive consistent feedback and also need to contextualize the problem so they are relatable to students and also to repeat practice of specific task.
So here are references that we used for our presentation.